Let me tell you a story. Not a fairy tale. Not the kind where two people meet, fall in love, and live happily ever after. No. This is a story about something far more common. A love that was almost real, almost strong enough, almost honest enough, almost forever. This story begins on an ordinary afternoon in a small cafe. And like most life-changing moments, it didn't look important at the time. Her name was Lena. Lena believed in love the way some people believe in destiny. She believed that if two people cared enough, love would always find its way. That afternoon, she walked into a cafe carrying a notebook filled with half-written stories. And that was when she met Adrian. Now, Adrian wasn't looking for love that day. In fact, Adrian wasn't really looking for anything at all. But life has a funny way of introducing people exactly when they aren't expecting it. Lena reached for a book someone had left on a table. At the same moment, another hand reached for it too. Their fingers touched. They both pulled back and laughed. Adrian smiled and said, "Sorry about that." And Lena smiled back. Lena then said, "It's okay. I think the book is confused about who it belongs to." Adrian held up the book. Adrian then said, "Maybe it belongs to neither of us." And just like that, a conversation began. A conversation that lasted 3 hours. 3 hours of laughter. 3 hours of stories. 3 hours that quietly changed the direction of two lives. But only one of them knew it. Over the next few months, Lena and Adrian became very close. They talked almost every day. Late-night phone calls, long walks in the park, conversations about dreams, fears, and everything in between. To Adrian, Lena felt like peace. She understood him. She listened. She never judged. But to Lena, Adrian felt like something else entirely. He felt like love. One day, Lena's best friend, Sarah, noticed the way Lena looked at him. Sarah pulled her aside and said, "You're in love with him, aren't you?" Lena smiled shyly. "Is it that obvious?" Sarah sighed. "Sarah, you look at him like he's the answer to a question." Lena laughed softly, but Sarah wasn't finished. She looked toward Adrian across the room. Then she said something Lena didn't quite understand at the time. "Sarah, but he looks at you like your piece." Lena frowned. Lena then said, "What's wrong with that?" Sarah hesitated before answering. "It's not the same thing." But Lena believed something very deeply. She believed love could grow. One night, Lena and Adrian were sitting together on a park bench. The city lights were glowing in the distance. Adrian looked thoughtful. Then he said something that would quietly shape the rest of their lives. He said, "You know, people keep asking me why we aren't together." Lena's heart skipped a beat. Adrian shrugged. "I mean, we already get along better than most couples." He paused. Then he added, "Maybe love grows from friendship?" Now Adrian meant it as a possibility, but Lena heard it as a promise. And that was the moment everything changed. Not because love had arrived, but because hope had. And sometimes, hope can be louder than the truth. Years passed. Lena and Adrian got married. Soon, they had 2 children, a daughter named Maya and a son named Noah. From the outside, their life looked beautiful. A home filled with laughter, family dinners, bedtime stories, birthday celebrations. But inside the quiet spaces of their marriage, something invisible was missing. Adrian tried to be a good husband, and in many ways, he was. He worked hard. He cared for the children. He supported Lena. But sometimes he would look at her and feel like a man standing inside someone else's dream. Because the truth was simple. He cared for her deeply. But love, the kind Lena felt for him, never fully arrived. One evening, Adrian sat at a bar with his old friend Marcus. Marcus studied him carefully. Then he asked Adrian, "Why do you look like a man carrying the weight of the world?" Adrian sighed and said, "Have you ever built a life that looks perfect, but doesn't feel like yours?" Marcus raised an eyebrow and asked, "You don't love her?" Adrian stared at his drink. Then he said quietly, "I kept waiting for love to show up." Marcus asked the only question that mattered. "Did it?" Adrian didn't answer, because the silence said everything. One afternoon, Lena came home from work. Something felt strange the moment she walked in. The house was too quiet. She walked into the bedroom. The closet door was open. Half of Adrian's clothes were gone. Her heart started beating faster. Then she saw the letter on the kitchen table. She opened it slowly, and in that moment, Adrian's voice filled the silence. "Lena, you deserved a love I tried to give, but never truly had. I thought it would come with time. I hoped it would. But living a life that isn't honest has slowly broken me. You did nothing wrong. You loved me more than anyone ever has, and that is exactly why I cannot stay. I'm sorry." Lena sat down slowly. Upstairs, the children were laughing. They had no idea their world had just changed forever. Months later, Lena saw Adrian again at the park. Their children were playing nearby. Adrian looked nervous. Lena looked calm. After a long silence, she asked him one question. "Why didn't you tell me the truth sooner?" Adrian looked down. Then he answered honestly, "Because you were happy." Lena nodded slowly. Then she said something that surprised him. "I always knew." Adrian looked up in shock. "Then why did you stay?" Lena watched the sunset before answering. "'Cause I believed if I loved you enough, one day you would learn how to love me back." And that is the story of Lena and Adrian. A story about love, about hope, and about the dangerous silence between what we say and what we feel. Because sometimes the greatest tragedy in love is not betrayal. It is two people building a life together, while quietly believing two very different stories. So here's the question this story leaves behind. Is it worse to stay in a love that isn't real, or to leave someone who believes it is? The answer depends on who is telling the story. And maybe that's exactly the point.